Hey, greetings, guys. Welcome to the second part of chapter number 4. I'm gonna go briefly today, a couple of minutes only. I want to go over just for a minute a gentleman named Tacticus. Last little series thing that we did, item that we did notes was we went over Josephus in the early days of corroborating evidence, things outside the Bible that you can say actually happened historically wise. You can prove it. And remember what I said about the Bible correlating with history, it is going to be true. So going over to Tacticus, Tacticus was in his writings were in AD 150. Okay, that means after Jesus passed away, after John has wrote his books in the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John saga, if you will, of Christ. I want to emphasize a point here. Tacticus has never met the disciples firsthand. Likelihood of him meeting John or Paul, probably not very strong, even at his later age, because he was a little older gentleman. He was a Greek historian, a Roman historian. However, he does make some significant points in his writings. And once again, Tacticus is not a believer in Christ. He's not a believer in God. He's a Roman official, a Roman historian, and so on. He does not like Nero. We're going to figure this out when we talk about it. Nero was a leader of the Roman government. He was a Caesar. It says this: Nero fastened the guilt and inflicted most of his tortures towards Christians. What was the purpose of this? Tacticus would say. He doesn't like Christians. He doesn't like what Christians represent. He doesn't like the movement in which Christianity has, which, by the way, the only reason that you would attack a movement because it's threatening to your authority and who you call your God. That's a movement of Christianity. It's going to continue. It says this: Yamuchi stood and walked around the shelf. In other words, he is attempting to gather his thoughts. He's asking, as Lee Strobel was asking this question. Yamuchi thought for a moment, and certainly been once again within his scholarship and his preparation and so on, but he made a critical point. Regardless of whether the passage, that means passage that was written by Tacticus, is true or not, we have to come to the identification factor that in history, Christianity was a movement of God, a movement, period, that focused on the idea of God in the Roman society. You don't try to squash a movement unless it starts to affect you. He continues, this is an important testimony. It's a very unsympathetic witness. A Roman historian who does not believe in God says that these events happened. And once again, the figurehead in historical sense, according to Tacticus, was this man named Jesus. Also, Tacticus talks about a gentleman called, an event called the Day of Darkness. Now, when Christ passed away on the cross, as he was dying on the cross, saying his last few things, it says that there was a darkness that covered the earth. Now, in historical sense, around Jerusalem area, there were many scholars that said that there was a darkness there. But if you go outside of Israel, Jerusalem, and so on, was there that same darkness? According to 3 separate sources, Julius Africanus, Thallus, and also Tacticus, and they were in different locations. Once again, one in Rome, one in North Africa, being Egypt, and one and also North Africa. It would be, I apologize, I should know off the top of my head. But another spot in North Africa, Northwest Africa. All of these locations all went dark at the same time. Now, the argument is there's a solar eclipse, but once again, even nowadays, scientifically, we can prove when solar eclipses are going to happen in the future and when they're going to happen or when they did happen in the past. When Jesus passed away, historically and through the Bible-wise, there was no eclipse that was listed on that calendar on those events, especially over that region whatsoever. In fact, it was supposed to be sunny the entire time. The moon was on the other side and was going to be on the other side for a good 6, 7, 8 months, something of that sort. So you put history and you put Bible speaking together, what event is taking place and what event out of the ordinary is taking place, and that's what the second part of chapter number 4, corroborating evidence, is talking about. Keep up with your reading discussions. Keep up with your other items such as your video outlines and so on. I said video outlines, your video questions. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm here for you. All right, talk to you later.